Hey, crawlers. Oh, look how many of you are here. I didn't even know I was going to stream until 5 minutes ago, but it's a surprise stream from a surprise dad. Ugh. That sounded less lame in my head. Sorry, I'm just in a good mood because Aiden is coming home for Halloween. See? Even Eddie's excited. He sounded good too. Aiden, not Eddie. Like, really happy. Damn, how long has it been? You know Aiden is the only way to keep Connor home for longer than 5 minutes since he got his license? I think you guys were right about giving him a car too soon, but he's just been through so much. It felt like he deserved a bit of freedom. Anyway, thought, hey, I could do a stream while decorating. Doesn't that sound like fun? I'm glad you think so. It sounded terrible the second I said it out loud. Seriously though, thanks for stopping by everyone. And a special thanks to Lady, Lore, and Disco for coming to mod on literally zero notice. Life got so hard for so long, but I feel like things are finally kind of back on track. I mean, did Sarah turn out to have zero interest in dating a YouTuber? Sure. Were things a little disheartening when the next two were just obsessed fans? Fuck yeah. But I think I've actually found a good balance, and I'm not going to jinx it by saying any more. What I am going to say is that I'm streaming a live read of my new book's first chapter on Halloween night. So tell your friends. I need lots of people there, okay? I'm trying to attract some bigwig sponsors, and I know it's a lot to hope for, but it would be really amazing if Stephen King maybe heard my name somewhere. I don't expect him to acknowledge me or actually read anything, but man, just for him to know I exist, you know? Ugh, is that too pathetic? That's the bad part about streaming. I can't cut out the impulsive shit. Okay, what do you think? Hold on, let me walk you around for the full view. It looks good in here, right? It's not too heavy on the cobwebs? The boys are gonna love it, just like the good old days. Alright, I better get going. I got normal shit to do too. Push you later. Hey, crawlers. I'm here to address the accusations. Obviously, I want to make it crystal fucking clear that I have nothing to do with this hoax. I understand how it looks, and I don't blame anyone for being suspicious. That's why I believe you deserve to hear it live. I see many of you have already realized the eruption of chaos was caused by my incredibly ignorant words of happiness. Stu, I appreciate the sentiment, but grow the fuck up. Of course these things are connected. Don't try to tell me I shouldn't be afraid to express my joy. I should be pissing my pants. Maybe a troll saw the last stream and thought, oh shit, we can't let this fool be happy. Or maybe Karma was just saying hello again. Either way, here we are. First and foremost, I was not setting up an ARG. Paige is dead. The person in that video is either a twin, a freaky good lookalike, or someone very skilled with CGI. I don't know which. All I know is that it's not Paige. And if you let yourselves come back to reality for 5 seconds, I think you'll see that too. Well, unless maybe she did have a twin, and I killed the wrong one. Technically that's possible, but that's ridiculous. Even a creepypasta wouldn't pull something that cheesy. She'd be more likely to actually return from the dead before that happened. Personally, I'm with you guys. I think this is someone trying to pull off an ARG and hoping I'll play along with it for the views and the news. But I'm not. This isn't a game or publicity stunt, and after this stream, I won't acknowledge the situation again. Those of you who haven't already seen her video will want to know what this is about, and probably already typing in your search bar. Likewise, you'll want to know what a response to this stream will be, and you'll watch that too. Because make no mistake, there will be one. Then, everyone will anxiously await my next video, except there won't be one. This shit is a dangerous cycle, and the only way to break it is by not responding. I probably shouldn't even be doing this, but I can't stand to have you guys think I'm involved. When I first heard about it, I didn't think I would need to say anything. At worst, I expected a few memes and trolls, but now, reporters are outside my goddamn house again. I can see you on the monitors too, by the way. I can literally see you watching me. Ha! They're looking at the cameras now. Seriously though, it's so bad that I ordered a pizza last night and they tried to buy it off the delivery guy. Fucking vultures. Like, did they think I'd trade an exclusive for my food? Joke's on them. No insect repellent in the world is going to help them out there. These bugs have evolved past such trifles. Anyway, I don't really see a way to explain how being a cryptid is insane without sounding, well, insane. So I'll start with the accusation and go from there. According to this new page, she was never a stalker. She's simply a witch who kills monsters, and I, surprise, surprise, am a monster. Look, I get there's always two sides to every story, and I'm definitely no saint. I wouldn't even call myself a good person, but I'm not actually a cryptid. I can understand the people who think it's a gimmick, but I don't know how to respond to the ones who believe monsters are not only real, but YouTubers? Where does she get this idea, you ask? Why, my avatar, of course. She says it's my true form, and my kids are supposed to be night crawlers. Fuck's sake. I hope she's just a troll, because the thought of someone this disturbed being among the general public is terrifying. She even said the 13 state victims were all vampires. It's disgusting to drag those poor people's families through this again. There's no reason for it. While we're at it, let me school you with a little bit about the lore behind my character, because even if I were arrogant enough to blatantly reveal my biggest secret under the guise of fiction, this chick has it all wrong. Yaltsin isn't some evil goat-skulled reaper harvesting human souls like cattle, and frankly, the notion is insulting. He, only harvests the souls of those already dying, and it's done in a gentle way. When the old and sick have been suffering for ages and their time is finally near, he's the one who draws out their souls with warm memories. He assures they're filled with peace instead of pain, and their passing is free from remorse or doubt. I mean, yeah, it's different for assholes, but I hardly think you can call me, him, a monster just for making a predator relive a few nightmares in his final moments. And he, certainly can't help if those seconds happen to feel like days. Honestly, I'd go so far as to call it fair when you consider they only feel what they freely inflicted on others. Pain is the only language evil speaks. Take it from an expert horror writer. Fuck. Now you understand what I mean by tickle those inner fears. Yeah. The point is, even if this crap were true, would it really matter that much? I mean, if I were a cryptid over here chilling like a human, it wouldn't be because of some sinister plan to devour innocent souls. It would be a fucking vacation. Think about it. If your entire existence revolved around helping people transition out of their human lives, why would I create a new identity to continue doing the same thing? You wouldn't. I hope this puts your mind at ease, but I know actions speak louder than words, so feel free to sit back and watch me ignore whatever comes next. For now, I'd like to end the stream on a fresh note. Aiden will be home in 3 days, and Connor seems genuinely excited. I definitely went overboard buying the huge blow-up yard decorations, but if I show them to you before the live read, I can write them off as a business expense. Oh, don't worry, lady. The big stream is actually taking place Halloween morning at midnight. I won't miss any holiday time with the boys. I've made a few special plans for the day, but I don't want to risk saying what. Karma could smite me at any second. Anyway, the people I care about know I'm not involved with the shit going viral, and anyone who thinks I, the man who unknowingly shared my house with a psychopath while she dug tunnels beneath my property, am actually a cryptid, well, nothing I say now is going to change your mind, is it? Right, I didn't think so. Good, push you later. Hey, by now, most of you have probably seen my posts and the news, but I wanted to make a personal plea as well. Those of you who followed me over the years know how much I dislike the intense media coverage, but now, I intend to use it for myself. For the first time, I've opened my doors to the horde of reporters camping in our yard. That's why we're not in my studio, because they wouldn't fit. I need their help, guys, and I need yours too. Connor is missing again, and he didn't run away. Yesterday, after school, he went to a friend's house where he was supposed to stay for dinner and be home by curfew. We weren't expecting Aiden until Sunday, but he wanted the surprises, so he came home early. Connor, if you're seeing this, bud, he brought a few other surprises too. So we hope you make it back soon. Where was I? Sorry, it's hard to focus. It was only a couple hours until curfew, so I got Aiden and Emily's. Oops, there went one surprise. So I got them settled in separate rooms, and then we just chatted while waiting for Connor. My first call to him wasn't until 11:10, but he didn't answer. We didn't text in case he was driving, so that's when I called Jared's dad. I hated to wake the man, but I just wanted to hear my son fell asleep playing Xbox so I could fast forward to feeling foolish. Unfortunately, my life is rarely simple. Connor had left the moment he received my first message. He must have been so excited he forgot to respond. Jared's house is only a 30-minute drive, but hours had passed. Aiden and Emily began calling hospitals and police departments while I retraced the route myself. I was expecting to come across some horrible wreck, just not in the driveway. If I hadn't caught the flash of a taillight while bouncing over a pothole, I would have missed the car completely. I slammed on the brakes, realized I'd forgot to turn on the high beams, and suddenly noticed several things at once. The deep tire tracks clearly indicated a vehicle spun out of control and went off-road. The one taillight visible from my position was a small glint of the ruined black Camaro. My eyes looked over it in slow motion, like a giant curtain was revealing it inch by inch. I was viewing the passenger side. Both windows were shattered, and I couldn't see into the driver's seat. The wizard continued pulling the curtain back, and finally, the car merged with the tree to become one beneath a sea of green. I almost called the police to come without ever leaving my own vehicle. I didn't want to add a memory of holding Connor's corpse to the one I have of Amber. For that split second, I wondered if it might be best to let the mortician see him first. But only for a second. I was already unbuckling my seatbelt as I thought it. As sure as I am of the sight that awaited me, there was still that desperate hope of what if. As I got closer, I realized the Camaro wasn't merged with the tree after all. It only looked that way due to the limbs thrown over the hood. It had collided with the tree, yes, but not like that. The driver's door had already been pried open, but it was still hard to pull back and look inside. The only thing left was a Polaroid facing down in the driver's seat. I lifted it with shaking hands to see a picture of Connor, unconscious, with blood smeared beneath his nose. There was also a website written at the bottom. It has different camera feeds. One shows Connor laying on some kind of altar. I can't tell if the red marks are blood or something else, but he doesn't look good. He looks hurt and weak. Please help me find him. The FBI believes they're still in Michigan, but they can't be certain. I'm begging you, no matter where you live, please help me look. And yes, I see you all asking. We've confirmed there's no one in the tunnels. The stream site makes it look like they're in some kind of underground bunker, but it could easily be designed that way to throw us off. He could be at a Holiday Inn for all we know. I knew I should have got that GPS implant, but no, he threw a fit and I let it go. Fuck. I got one with his name on it for the second we find him. I'm putting Aiden's in tonight after he falls asleep. It's easier if they don't know. It's not like I'm trying to spy. As long as they don't require a missing persons report, I won't have a reason to look. How is that not fair? That's all I have time for. Please, if you have any information or even think you might, please use the details in the description to contact myself or law enforcement. There's also an anonymous tip line. I promise none of your information will be recorded. We simply want to find Connor. Thank you, everyone. Your support is everything right now. I can't thank you all enough. I don't know why I started this stream. Why did I start this fucking stream? Hey, crawlers, do you want to hear a joke? Knock, knock. Is anyone gonna say who's there? Thanks, Marge. You're a fucking peach. My son is dead. I mean, wait, I was supposed to start with, I don't know, my son. Fuck it. Peace out. Happy Halloween, crawlers. What's left of it anyway. I might be 20 hours past midnight, but there's still time for a story before the holiday ends. Who wants to hear a true scary story? Huh? That's why we're here, isn't it? Nobody does horror like this guy. All I gotta do is share an average day. Bam! I'm a star. You know what's really funny? When people ask, was it worth it? No, my guy, no, it was not. All the money goes to therapy bills and Aiden's college loans, which I'm about to pay off with this stream. Who's ready to hear all the gruesome details of how my youngest son suffered in his final moments? And just to be clear, because I know some little fuckboy in the comments gonna say it, this is not a response to that bitch's video. This is me telling my own fucking story, and since it happens to be true, it's liable to contradict any false information others might be spreading. Now, livers, why would you think I'm drunk? That's ridiculous. If I were to stream while hammered, it could be misconstrued by condoning destructive drinking habits. Which, of course, I don't. I'm just totally cool with telling you guys this horrible, traumatizing story because it's what we do here, right? I mean, let's be real. I would have been lost in a sea of faceless narrators had my life not been an actual fucking horror movie. Though, if it were a genuine horror film, The big reveal would probably be the fact that I'd be orchestrating the murders from day one for the sole purpose of becoming famous. Fuck. I wish that were true, except it would mean I'd be working with Paige, and no thank you. I'd sell my soul to go back before YouTube. I've never felt hatred like this. It's a physical pain in my chest. Like I'm drowning and on fire at the same time. I don't know if I'm hot or cold, but I feel weak and dizzy. Aiden has been coordinating the updates for friends and family while helping Emily maintain the social media crap. She's a good one. I hope he keeps her. This was supposed to be a simple, fun family weekend, and now it's an episode of Law and Fucking Order. It says a lot that she didn't go right back to campus. I couldn't have put together half of what you've seen without her. Last time, it took hours to post every platform, but she had everything uploading simultaneously. These are the things that really show my age. That Polaroid also had a username and password to view the feeds. There were 4 set up like surveillance cameras. The first was at the bottom of a dark staircase with a closed door at the top. It had a square window cutout, but something was covering the glass from the other side. The second feed showed a small, dingy room with a moldy couch against one wall and a table near the other. The third was the bunker-type room with the altar in the center. That's where Connor was when I first logged in, laid out like a sacrificial lamb. He was shirtless, and weird runic symbols were carved into his torso. The scene screamed satanic cult ritual, even before I noticed a nearby tray of weird daggers. There were at least a half a dozen, all different shapes and sizes. One was just a thin blade made into a circle with a handle through the center. Then the fourth screen played a message. It was drone footage of Connor coming down our driveway the night of the accident. Some hulking, shadowy figure appeared on the road. I caught most of it on screen recording. The figure was concealed in the forest, and the camera only captured a black, blurry mass moving towards the road at inhuman speed. I don't know how the hell they did it. Maybe it was some kind of hologram, but whatever the case, it's not a cryptid like some people are saying. Connor slammed on the brakes, gravel flew, dust filled the air, and the figure didn't move an inch. The car went off the road at a 90-degree angle, straight into a tree, where I found it hours later. Then the entire screen glitched out, and when it returned, Paige was standing in the figure's place. She walked to the driver's door and wrenched it open with a loud metallic pop. I'm surprised we didn't hear it in the house. Maybe things would be different. Probably not. But I enjoy listening to the ways it's my fault. People like to argue when you only have a couple what ifs under your belt. Know what I mean? They like to say, no, you can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known. But I have an arsenal of points to make. I could have stopped so many times, and everyone knows it. Most people avoid the topic because they feel like I've suffered enough, and that is a kind sentiment. But there's still a ton of assholes rubbing it in my face. Like they're going to say something worse than what I say in the mirror each morning. Dream on, man. Anyway, this tiny woman snapped a picture, wrote the website info on the Polaroid, and lifted Connor from the seat before dropping the picture in his place. She threw my son over her shoulder like a sack of feathers, and then the drone followed her to the forest edge before losing her among the trees. The sound of her footsteps could be heard a few moments longer before the video ended. The fourth screen remained black for roughly 2 hours, and by then, the police were recording everything. In that time, nothing changed on the screens. I didn't even believe it was live until a man entered the door in the first feed, descending the steps and crossed through the second room. And then he reappeared next to Connor in the third. His hand passed over the tray of daggers, and it felt like I was being injected with boiling water. He looked like a normal guy if not for the setting. He was clean shaven, had black hair, wore a white t-shirt with jeans. After passing his hands over the blade, he smirked at the camera, pulled a phone from his pocket and began typing. My phone beeped just after he stopped. "You get one question," it said. While the agents argued over how to respond, I took matters in my own hands. He was never going to tell us anything useful. We were never going to get the location or man's name. Instead, I asked what they did to Connor. They dosed him with morphine. I hope it was true. At the very least, maybe he died in a cloud of ignorant bliss. Yeah, that's why he was so out of it when he woke up. He wasn't in shock. He was just stoned. Who am I kidding? It was probably both. Next, he chose a curvy dagger and proceeded to cut Connor's right pant leg from the knee down. Then he sliced into my son's calf and let the blood pour into a silver goblet. When it was full, he left without doing anything to slow the bleeding. It was hard to tear my eyes away, but the fourth screen returned with a message. It's tempting to have the mods mute anyone asking about ancient languages. I know what screenshots you saw, but the one on my phone appeared in English. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to say the exact location. As obsessed as you all have become, you'd probably flock there in droves. It's not anywhere significant, but... Seriously? Okay, you win. You want to believe I magically teleported myself to the Paris catacombs? Fine. I don't even care anymore. If you want to believe the Mole Queen set up shop in the bowels of the world's deadliest tunnel rather than digging herself new ones, fine. I'm done holding your hands. The point is, I wasn't going to sit by watching Connor bleed out while the feds spent hours debating how to approach the site. I got a text right after saying this person only wanted to prove a point. That if Aiden and I came alone, I could take Connor's place while Aiden would be free to take his brother to the hospital. Oh, I really wanted to believe that. Aiden was probably the one thing I wasn't desperately enough to blindly risk. But if I went alone, who would get Con out? There was no way I'd be able to fight my way out while carrying him. I honestly hadn't intended getting out at all. I just wanted to take as many of those fuckers down as possible along the way. I didn't know if there were 2 or 20, but it didn't matter. So that was a dick pickle. In the end, I went with the old saying, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Aiden wasn't going anywhere. I told everyone I was getting a pack of smokes and took off. We'll do the craziest shit for our kids, won't we? I still can't believe how easily I shut off my emotions while pulling over at the gas station to find Herbert. Sorry about that, crawlers. I needed to take a little time to sober up. Anyway, to continue the story, for the last year, Herbert spent 12 hours a day, 6 days a week washing windshields and doing any odd job that came his way. I thought of a plan fairly quickly, and I knew I had to follow through. There was no other choice. I offered him $200 to help us clean out the attic and garage. He didn't even realize that we were heading away from my home. Though I guess those of you screaming cryptid will want to hear I lulled him into a past memory so he only thought we were driving. In reality, I would be teleporting us to the damn catacombs, right? Yeah, you go ahead and think whatever you want. When we got to the Mole Queen's new tunnels, Herbert realized we weren't in Kansas anymore and almost ran off. I hadn't even thought of what to say, but words were coming out. Something like, Connor was exploring but he hurt his ankle and can't climb out. That still didn't explain why I needed him instead of just calling for actual help. But I sidestepped those questions by shoving a crumpled $100 bill into his hand. I even said he could stay in Aiden's room while we found him a job. I meant it too. If things went as planned, I knew Aiden would do the right thing by Herb. That's just the kind of kid he is. Herb clearly had his doubts, but like myself, he was desperate enough to ignore the giant red flags. I wonder how long it's been since he had had a real shower. He doesn't have a family, not even an ex or kids. Not like me. That's what I kept thinking. It all felt like a dream. It still does. Right, sorry. We entered the tunnels with 2 flashlights. At first, the paths were marked with what looked like glow stick paint. Neon green, orange, purple, and blue arrows guided us through a maze of chaos. It was easy to follow for the first half hour. But eventually we reached places where we were forced to turn sideways for 20 to 30 feet at a time. And I envisioned how difficult it would be to pass with Connor in tow. Pretty soon, the tunnels lost all sense of uniformity. They weren't neat little rows and rooms anymore. Some were small we had to crawl through, and I was questioning the feasibility of one man returning with an injured teen. But it wasn't like we could go back for more help. The darkness was so thick. It felt like our lights were pushing away a physical entity. Like if we turned them off for even a second, cold black tendrils would begin to curl around our throats. Herb was too afraid to speak, but his face said it all. Men like that are intimately familiar with the feeling of being watched, and they're accustomed to obeying their instincts. But now, Herb's instincts were saying, "Run, motherfucker, run." Except he couldn't. If he turned back, he would be alone. The feeling of being watched had come on suddenly as we were crawling through a low passage. The rocks were already digging into my palms and knees, but then it was like, I don't know, like something suddenly appeared at the other end, and it was waiting for us. Or maybe it was behind us, ensuring we didn't retreat. We hadn't actually heard anything, but didn't need to. Herb's quiet grasp let me know he felt the same thing. We only paused for a moment before continuing forward. Our lights finally revealed a cavern a few more yards ahead, and neither of us quite dared to glance back. At my worst moments, I would mutter some worthless sentiment about Herb being part of our family now, but it helped me more than him. I paused at the tunnel's end, taking time to survey the area, but the light only extended 4 to 5 feet before being abruptly consumed by the darkness. The cavern walls could have been just on the other side, or they could have been miles away, and anyone or anything could have been waiting in between. The desperation to reach Connor was the only thing capable of propelling me forward, and even that determination wavered. When I finally entered the cavern, I turned back expecting to help Herb to his feet. But he began screaming and scrambling out right behind, the look on his face. He turned back to the passage, staring at it like something else was about to crawl out. I thought something would too. He was just so pale and frightened. I'm not sure how long we waited, but he eventually said someone breathed out onto his neck. I didn't want to believe him, but given the circumstances, it sure wasn't the wind. The moment we looked away, there was a skittering sound. Like if you were to throw a rock into a cave, this is the sound you would hear as it skipped along. Our lights were instantly back at the tunnel's mouth, but I don't know. I don't know if I saw a hand pull away or I only saw what I believed I would see. I met Herb's eyes for a brief moment. He was deathly pale, his mouth hung wide open, and his gaze alternated between myself and the passage. But his wet, tear-stained cheeks made me think he saw something too. Maybe more than a hand. We had been down there for almost 2 hours at this point. He probably thought it was all my doing, like it was my twisted game we were stuck playing. Or maybe he saw the same fear in my face and felt even more lost. When we finally forced ourselves to look away from the hole, we realized the cavern was indeed large. With both lights focused in the same direction, we were able to see almost 30 feet ahead. But this wasn't so much a blessing as a curse. There was no end in sight, and a dark figure lurked just outside the light's beam. It had a distinctly human shape, but moved within the shadows, never pausing long enough for us to focus our vision. We kept pushing forward, painfully aware of the cobwebs collecting in our hair when we were too slow to duck. When the back wall finally came into view, my heart sank to a new depth upon seeing the next passage. I thought it was a dead end at first, but I finally noticed a small hole marked with the same faint glow paint as the others, just enough to erase any doubts which direction to take. It was barely big enough for an adult to belly crawl through, but I couldn't shake the feeling it was a dead end, like the entrance would cave in the second we worked our way to the back. The thought of having someone on my heels in there was too unbearable. I told Herb to wait for my signal before following, and I began to make my way through what would be the final crawl. But after a solid 5 minutes of inching along with my knees and elbows, they felt like grated cheese. I still couldn't see the end, and the space was so tight I couldn't even look back. Maybe that was for the best. Who knows what I would have seen. I opened my mouth to call out, but was interrupted by a horrifyingly familiar scream. It was faint, but there was no mistaking the fact that it came from Connor. Until that moment, I hadn't dared to hope. Then I heard him. He was just at the other end of that suffocating passage. The pain in my joints vanished with renewed motivation, and I had to stifle a scream of my own. I wanted him to know I was there, that he wasn't alone, but I didn't want to alert anyone else. The tunnel ended with an even smaller opening, and I realized we would never get Connor out unless he carried himself. I whistled for Herb to come through, and he acknowledged it with a whistle of his own. Their echoes were long and uncomfortable. Each second felt like a spotlight centered directly above us. It felt like an eternity for Herb's light to finally make a dim appearance, and Connor hadn't screamed since. I wasn't sure if that was good or bad, but I just couldn't leave Herb behind, so I whispered words of encouragement. He didn't waste energy on words, but his increased effort showed with heavier breaths and louder grunts when a particularly sharp rock dug into the wrong place. He was less than 20 feet away when he let out a different kind of whimper. He thought something had grabbed at his foot, and his head cracked hard against the tunnel roof when he tried to surge forward in a panic. I crawled halfway back inside and extended my hand. We were only a few feet apart, but it may as well have been a mile. Our eyes met for one final moment before he was ripped backwards into the darkness with a death wail I can still hear even now. The echoes pierced my soul with each fresh wave. A list of thoughts raced through my mind in a single instant. First and foremost, fuck, it really happened. For all my cynical bullshit, I hadn't truly thought I was going to get a man killed. I know how that sounds to say now, but it just seems too unreal before actually witnessing a grown man being ripped from a hole like a child pulling up an earthworm. It happened so fast. His body bounced off the sides like rubber. The cracking sounds turned my stomach. Those are what made me puke. His blood painted the tunnel. I also thought of Connor and how his fate was inadvertently sealed with Herbert's. I wondered if Aiden would understand what happened when I seemed to disappear. I wondered what the thing behind Herbert looked like, and if it would be content after crushing the last of his bones. Or would it come charging down the passage to claim me next? I didn't wait around to find out. There was no more need for painted arrows. This room had a white wooden door, just like you would see inside a home. It was so strangely out of place down in those tunnels. I almost expected it to be locked, but it opened smoothly and silently. I recognized the room immediately. It was the first screen in the stream, the one with the stairs. It led to Connor. I took the stairs in 3 leaps and my ankles still hurt, but I felt nothing at the time. I didn't even consider what might be in the middle of the room until it was too late. The new Paige was there. Whether you're a realist who believes she's a twin or a dreamer who leans toward a reincarnated witch, she was waiting in the company of 2 rent-a-thugs. I know. Her videos say every demon she sacrifices serves to strengthen the coven. But you're drawing the wrong conclusions from her blanket statements. I hate to burst your bubble, but that wouldn't prove the sacrifice is a monster. The point of that ritual is to, supposedly, gain the power of the victim, be they good or evil. Of course, the powers of a cryptid are going to significantly trump that of a mere mortal. In a scenario where Connor did have these supposed abilities, Paige and her crew would have essentially been on the supernatural version of PCP when they confronted me in that room. Just saying. That's how the physics would work in this little scenario. The goons let Paige do all the talking, but she was fairly pissed about my failure to bring Aiden along. I should have never let myself believe there was a chance to save Con. It only served to lose an innocent man's life. And for what? Absolutely nothing. My boy was already dead. No one tried to stop me from seeing him. He was still laid on the altar. His body bloodied and broken. His final moments would have been agonizing. I wanted his face to be the last thing I saw, but death never came. They wanted me to see both sons die. I didn't go there unarmed. I tried to but they got away. I'm sure you'll understand why this has to be the last stream for a while. Tomorrow What? Slow down. Everyone stop. I can't read the chat. Stu, you explain. Who's streaming? Emily. She doesn't even have a... Yeah, I got the link. I'm opening it on my phone. Oh, no, please, no, not Aiden too, please. I'll do anything. I'll say anything. Fine, you win. I admit it. I am Yaltsin. It's all true. But we're not evil. Please, Aiden is all I have left. Yes, I admit it. You really are Paige, not a twin or a CGI effect. You're the real deal. Now please, untie my son. You don't need his power too. You have enough. You're right. You did have us fooled. I never suspected you were Emily, even for a second. Yep, that too. Guys, remember that spell? Curses are red, dicks are blue. If I die, so must you. It's real. It worked. As long as one of us stays alive, we'll just keep coming back. Yeah, she was telling the truth. I was in denial, but I've accepted my fate. I'm not going to fight her anymore. Okay? The second I die in return, the pact will be sealed. Nothing and no one will be able to reverse it. I'm ready to do that now. Paige, did you hear me? You can untie Aiden now. You won, and everyone heard it. Please, there's no reason to hurt him. No! Stop! What the hell is wrong with you? What purpose does it serve to cut into him? Isn't it enough you killed his brother and ruined his first experience with love? Please, I'll do anything. Aiden, I'm right here, bud, okay? We're gonna... Bitch, I swear to the old gods I'll end you. That's your end game? What do you mean I wasn't serious enough? So you're gonna force me to teleport to you live, in front of thousands, or sit here and watch my last son die? And you think you're the hero in this scenario? Wow. No, Aiden, don't try to talk, son. No! Well, hey there, crawlers. I'm sorry you had to see that. It's not a side you were ever meant to see. If it helps you cope in the days to come, Paige, unlike Aiden, is going to wake up in a few days. She's actually only half witch. The other half is all demon. So it's not like I ripped off some innocent girl's head on a live stream. For the record, granted, yes, punting her heart like a football was unnecessary. I really am sorry. Speaking of which, this stream is probably seconds from being taken down. I guess there's no turning back now. Aiden is gone. He's all I had left. I'm sorry, but this is the end of my vacation. I'm afraid I have a certain client who just won't stay dead. It looks like she's going to require special sessions until I can reverse this little curse. It's high time. She feels exactly what kind of pain she's caused. Happy Halloween. Nah. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out and being here tonight and letting me tickle those inner fears. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. Paige effin' Turner, thank you so much for writing this amazing finale to the series. I think this is the last one, but who knows? Things can always be a surprise. I don't generally plug my support options, but if you guys are interested in supporting the channel, you can do so through merch or buying me a coffee. Both of those links are listed in the description if you want to check those out. Anyway, I am sorry about that. I hope you all enjoyed this story as much as I did. It was fantastically fun. But until next time, remember, just because you didn't see it doesn't mean it wasn't watching you.